Okay, YouTube.
Y'all live now. Sorry, just got to a good place where I can stop. But y'all live on YouTube. Have fun.
All right, cool. All right,
YouTube. I need to go to YouTube.
YouTube it is. Do we have Michael?
We lost Michael. We lost you. Video wise.
Oh, let me do
Hey,
this.
YouTubers.
That's what it is. All right, can you see me again now, Stefania?
Yeah. Yes, we can see you now.
Excellent. How about Michael?
Nope.
I don't see Michael.
Don't have Michael. Don't have Carter.
There we go.
We are live. Boom. What's up, everybody?
What happened?
Welcome to another episode of Dope Black Thoughts. My name is Kevin.
I'm Stefania.
Mike Carter, aka the Paperboy. What happened? Are we on? Where we at?
We're on YouTube.
Okay, we lost Kevin. That's fine.
Hold on, I'm closing it. I had double echo going on. YouTube was saying everything 10 seconds late. But so we got a lot of interesting topics for the show today. I mean, just from the text that I received from the family. By the way, I'm Kevin. We got Stefania. We got Michael. So what's up? Welcome everybody. Hey, look. I heard the nuclear bombs almost went off.
Yes.
What happened, man? They almost leveled America, or what's going on with that?
Here's the good thing about a nuclear bomb. You won't know when it happens, and ain't nothing you can do anyway. So
That's the good thing. The silver lining in it all.
I mean,
It'll be too late by the time you know.
Exactly. It'd be over. So that's how we know it didn't.
Here's the problem. America was for sale for the last 4 years. And when it's for sale, we were sold to somebody who, obviously was the highest bidder. And you can't tell me, I'm not convinced that was not on purpose, that the hack happened. I don't even know if you can call it a hack.
It is. There are systems in place. Part of your job as the commander-in-chief is put these systems in place, right? Some people call them bureaucracy, some people call them oversight. There are systems in place. And
I'll call them institutions.
Literally had a president who thought that the whole point of his presidency was to take out these systems, these oversights, right? Why do I need a pandemic response team?
Right.
In 2017, why do I need a pandemic response team? Why do we need a Food and Drug Administration? Why do we need a CDC? Why are we funding these things?
Right. Why do we need cybersecurity?
And you have a president who attacked the oversight and the systems that are in place. Why do I need a internet czar? Oh, because people are trying to hack us. Oh.
And isn't it amazing? Isn't it ironic that the very people that we have accused him of being in bed with from the very beginning are the same ones that hacked us? Can we call it a hack, or can we just say that we were sold?
I would say we were sold. Because Donald Trump, it's noted and recognized by all the surveillance entities that Donald Trump is in the hawk to Russian oligarchs for decades, not even just a few years or something like that. Oh, well, 2016, he started getting money from Russia. No, he's been renting out entire floors of his Trump Towers to Russian mob, for almost as long as I've been alive. So to say he's crooked and a criminal and affiliated with a lot of ne'er-do-wells, to say the least, is an understatement. But I want to go back to the little thing you said earlier about basically the good thing is you never see it when it goes off, or you never have to deal with it when it happens. I used to work construction, and a long time ago when I was like 20, and we did some work at a facility. It was a refinery way down in Lake Jackson, Freeport, Texas, and they made benzene out there. So there's some really noxious, very deadly neurotoxins that were being held in some of these tanks. And one of them had a blow off valve on top of it. It had a horn, and they're like, "That's a dead man's horn. You'll never hear that horn, because that horn goes off once it detects that we've released this neurotoxin that kills you instantly. So the horn goes after everybody's already dead."
Wow.
And that's kind of something that could have happened here in America, because the way the nuclear arms got, the way the nuclear weapons got armed is very, very similar to that. That by the time you figure it out, it could have been all over for you.
Right.
Which is very unfortunate, because from what I heard was Trump was a strong man, and he was kicking Putin's ass, and no one's been tougher on Putin than Donald Trump, right? That's what I heard. Straight from
Really?
the president's mouth.
Oh, from the president.
That's what he told me. That's what he told me.
Told you. And how many lies has he been accused of saying the last 4 years? How many lies did he put out
What are
there?
we up to now? I lost count.
Right. I thought I saw something about 38,000, but that seems small to me. That seems very low.
I think he would lie about things that were true. Like, he would lie about things that would actually benefit him to tell the truth on them. He's a habitual liar. And I also think that sometimes he picks an alternative path for certain topics, such as the COVID response. Like when the vaccine became available, and he was like, "You know what? I don't need all of those vaccines." And then they're like, "Well, there's going to be limited availability, so you're not going to be able to get any more till next summer." And then he's like, "Oh no, well, now you can't give them to any other countries until you give all the Americans their vaccines." It was just anything. He's just a contrarian.
So pissed.
We have gotten to a place where we can no longer trust anything that is said from our government, and it's a shame. We need to have trust in our government, and we don't have that. And they wonder why they have so many people, speaking of the coronavirus, that are not on board with getting this vaccine.
Yeah.
The trust is not there.
They've lost faith in the institutions. They've lost.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's not leave it straight to Donald Trump, because anti-intellectualism was kicking in full force during George W. Bush.
Right.
There was a whole lot of not caring about what the intellectuals had to say about stuff. And then by the time Trump came around, actually, when Obama got in, people started bad-mouthing people that go to college. They're bad-mouthing professors, bad-mouthing universities, like these bastions of research and whatnot. And the thing, my whole counterpoint is, of course, the researchers get things wrong sometimes, but what they do is, when they figure out that they've gotten it wrong, they say, "No, we were wrong about that last year, 4 or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. Here's what the newest and best data is." So no one says, "Hey, the college said this year, and that's the gospel." They said, "This is the best information we have at the time." So you can't sit here and say, "Nah, those liberal colleges, they just want to tell you that climate change is destroying everything, and there's more than two genders and whatnot." It's like, we all know some effeminate males and some masculine females, don't we?
Right. Yep.
I think that life represents everything in a spectrum: sexuality,
Right.
gender representation, ethnicity, all types of things. I saw a thing on people that have more than one set of sex organs.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
visible sometimes. Come on.
Right.
Here. But they won't embrace the scientific stuff just because it's the scientific consensus. And
Until
that's
it
what
suits
makes it
them.
so scary.
Yeah, until it suits them. I mean, the agenda changes so often. It's hard to keep up with it.
And they act like yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, they act like academia is an agenda,
Right. Right.
and it's not. But okay, so we almost got nuked. We almost turned America into glass, right? Because we've allowed our institutions to be bought and sold to the highest bidder. And I hear an echo, Mike. I heard my own voice, which I like it, but still. But after that happened, we come back and there's people still not recognizing that the election actually has happened and there's been a result, even though the electors have voted.
Right. Yep.
Even Mitch McConnell recognized it.
He did. And there's so, who was it? I was watching this morning, somebody was saying that they're waiting until January 6th when the electoral college votes will actually, when the votes will be cast to declare a presidential winner. We are not declaring it yet still? We're still not there?
Did they do that for Trump?
Right. No.
The Arizona Republicans, they're shown calling Donald Trump president-elect, I think it was like 10, 15 days after the election with only 272 electoral college votes.
Right.
They went ahead and called it. And now they're here in December saying, oh no, there's no, the vote isn't done. The election isn't over. Just, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
The hypocrisy that now is just so blatant is laughable. I mean, come on. And when they don't care about the hypocrisy, but they continue to do it, it's dangerous, actually. We need to Biden and Kamala need to get the information. I heard the information that they're sharing with them is stopped as well.
Yeah, it's so dangerous. And still we're still dealing with the COVID crisis.
Right.
As members of the Black and brown communities, we're hit the hardest. And there are too many people of the majority demographic that are saying that it isn't real. They're not taking it seriously. Why should I be held, captive by your laws? It's not a law it's not a law to wear this mask. Like, well, if it's enforceable by the law, but and none of that even really matters. Viruses are real. Did you say that in the 90s when AIDS came out? Like, I'm sure that they took their precautions when that's what was going on, and now they don't think that it's true. So they want to congregate, they want to bypass all protocols, and then they want to, once again, anti-intellectualism, talk bad about taking the vaccine. And I get it. The long-term studies haven't happened. At some point, someone's going to have to take a vaccine.
Right.
Someone's going to have to do it. Look, I found out I have a heart condition. It turns out COVID is actually worse on your cardiovascular system than it is on your respiratory system. So I have a pre-existing condition that makes me highly susceptible to the virus. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, you're taking it.
Absolutely. And it's not even guinea pig. It's already gone through human trials.
Is there still an echo?
No.
All right.
No more echo.
I'm not sure what happened.
But I can hear your voice though, Michael. Like
I mean, that's beautiful. You're welcome.
He said you're welcome. Yes. Thank you for.
But I want to hit on something you kind of brought up. Did they do that with AIDS? Yes, they did.
Did they?
Oh, absolutely. It's not real. And the next thing was, it's not real, or it doesn't matter because it's affecting a community that we don't care about.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not gay. I can't catch that. Oh, really?
It's always like that with everything until it hits their community.
Right.
The crack problem wasn't a problem until it was hitting. The little white girls were coming and taking it back home.
Well, no. Crack problem was never a problem. Opioids are a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. Those people are sick and they're suffering. Sir,
it's a mental illness, so we need to help them.
You need to clean up your own community.
Right. We can't incarcerate them.
It's opioids, and then we all got to come together.
Right.
We don't discard any human beings. Okay, they're sick and they need help.
Right. And we can't incarcerate them because it's a mental illness.
Help.
Right.
It's a reckoning. So I think a lot of this is once again America's hens coming home to roost. We've sowed a lot of seeds with our anti-intellectualism. We've sowed a lot of seeds with allowing racist people, leaders, to continue spreading filthy lies about certain demographics. Go ahead.
Touch on that. Touch on that. Anti-intellectualism. I used to have these conversations, and they would entail, it's not cool to be broke. For a very long time, we were fed that nonsense. It's cool to be broke. And I think that goes hand in hand with that anti-intellectualism that, I don't have anything, so I don't need to do anything. So I don't need to strive for anything. And if you think about it. I see you guys giving.
No.
Talk to me about what we were fed in the 90s about what was being cool. It was riding around in a 6'4". Do you really know what a 6'4" is?
Yeah.
It's the reason they were riding around 6'4" is because they were junk cars. They go to the junkyard and get them and put $2,000 rims on a $200 car.
100 spokes.
All right.
Dayton's.
It's cool. It was cool to, I don't want to say sell drugs, but it wasn't cool.
It's called a hustle.
Hustling's fine. It was
it usually demarked that it was illegal, though. It usually wasn't quite above board. Hustling didn't mean I'm selling plates. Hustling usually meant something fell off a truck.
No. Hustling's fine. All right. Basically, if you boil America down, it's a bunch of hustles. It just depends on the color of your skin, how it's treated. Hustling's fine. But the whole point of celebrating not having anything or not wanting better was fed to us for a very long time, at least during the 90s when I was growing up. And I never understood that. And it was a cultural thing because it wasn't something that came from like my parents or my family. It was you go to the movies, you listen to rap music, you watch music videos. What are they all showing you? This plastic version of what you're supposed to be trying to obtain and celebrating being broke.
And also nerds.
Yeah, I
nerds
look at
were
it
not
differently.
cool.
Oh,
Go hit us.
I look at it differently. I look at it as the same way when our ancestors were not given the prime, when we were given the scraps off the table, we turned that ham bone into a meal. So when we in the 90s, when they were telling us, when our neighborhoods were flooded with drugs and people were looking for a way out, taking that 6'4" and turning it into this. I mean, look at today. Now you can't pass a block in the summertime without having a car show, and those cars are worth a pretty good penny. They owned that. They took that and they took ownership of it and they made it something. And now all the white people want switches on their cars. You know what I mean? They got to make them bounce. So I wouldn't necessarily take away from the garbage that we were dealt with, that we turned into a pile of gold.
and the only thing I disagree with you is I agree. The garbage, the hand we were played was garbage.
Right.
Never be satisfied would be my argument.
I never got that though. I didn't.
We could go
we
and
look like we're
listen
about the
to.
same age. Huh? Go ahead.
We can go and listen. We can go. What are your favorite movies from the 90s?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Name some.
Boys in the Hood.
No, I knew you were gonna do it. I knew you were gonna say that.
What did you say?
Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood.
No,
Menace to
not one of my
Society.
favorites. I did not like New Jack City. I did not. Boys in the Hood was okay for me. I liked it. It was okay for me. It's not something that I would just watch, all the time. But yeah, okay.
Boys in the Hood.
I thought it was an inspiring show.
Ricky.
Right. Besides that, but his father was really trying to hook him onto something. Get out these streets.
And that was that guy. That was over there.
That was Lawrence Fishburne.
But the coolest people in the movie. Who are the coolest people in the movie?
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And what was Ice Cube?
The executor.
Yeah.
Go back to Menace to Society. The coolest dude in Menace to Society. O-Dog. What was O-Dog?
See, I don't necessarily see that as that was what the message that they were given. I think that was more of, look at our reality. I know they keep making movies about white people who are broke and don't have jobs, but still have nice houses, in their movies. But in our movies, this is reality. I grew up in Aurora, so, I don't know, but, South Central, You know, I don't want nobody coming back telling me, you ain't hard, you ain't coming.
Like I went to school with you. You ain't come from no hood.
Right?
You weren't in
I grew up
Watts.
in I tease my family all the time. I grew up in the dirty A. Dirty Aurora.
Dirty A. I moved
Hey,
to
check
Dirty
that
A.
out. So I grew up in a city named
Yes.
Baytown, and we called it the Dirty Bay. That's so
Really?
crazy. Yeah.
East up, A-Town down. The
Okay.
dirty A. Aurora, not Atlanta.
They were talking about something different.
Talk your stuff.
A-Town.
A-Town, that's right, A-Town. But you know, I just see that as that was our reality, not necessarily that was the message that we were putting out on how we need to give up on our families. And you know, Ricky was about to go to college and get a scholarship, but he died from from gang retaliation, which was rampant in a lot of the Black cities that we lived in. But I thought, look and look at where I don't know, those characters, they did okay. Go ahead.
Let me think. I think in 2002, I got a trip to LA, right?
Okay.
And so I get picked up at the airport, and the really nice lady was a limo driver. She's like, I can take you to the hotel, but you kind of got the limo for the rest of the, you have it for the duration. What do you want to go? I go, dude, I want to go see South Central, right? And
Okay.
she goes, okay. And we drive around South Central. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, we're in Inglewood. I'm like, where's the hanging out on the corner, we're drinking 40s? And
right.
she's like, that's not what this is, man. This is,
right.
There's the Coliseum right there. There's USC.
But I bet it still pops off, though.
It does, but that is that much of South Central. And there it is.
So these Denver people, Denver natives, they always talk about the summer of violence.
We did have a summer of violence.
Right, they had a summer of violence, and it was what, early 90s? When was that?
Early 90s. No. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. Wellington Webb was the mayor. And
that was the most violent portion of world history. Like we were the most savage in America at that time. We had freshly dropped drugs that were more addictive than anything we'd seen before. Drive-bys became a thing again after Prohibition era.
Carjacking.
And New Jack City. It was becoming not just enshrined, but definitely commonplace at that point in time. I mean, I've witnessed a few myself where it's like, this is real. It's not even just in the movies, to the point where the 90s, I mean, there was multiple summers of violence, honestly. And it wasn't just Denver, it was everywhere. America was in a sad place. And that's when you you did your Rodney King action and actually put a camera on it. And then what happened?
Right. After that.
I think I was stationed down in the Springs during that time. When everybody
remembers where they were when Rodney King, that verdict came down, don't we?
I remember the riots.
How many TVs you got?
That was the line. Like, everybody saw the video, but the riots, and correct me if I'm wrong, the riots came about not because he got beat.
The verdict day.
Because the cops
justice
got
system
off.
failed.
That's what the riots were about.
Yeah.
Because we even Black people that were being ravaged by crack cocaine and still heroin, because heroin was still hitting hard in the streets.
Right.
And police violence on a regular daily basis. We all know, because we were of a certain age, that back in those days you expected to get a beat down if you got on the wrong side of the police. If you didn't get shot, everyone said, "Oh crap, there's 5-0, run." Everyone ran when they saw the cops, whether they were doing something wrong or not, because they expected brutality. We all had some type of, we all had some sort of confidence that, well, if they catch them on camera, I mean,
no, that's exactly what it was. They're like, okay, all right, maybe, you shouldn't run or blah, blah, blah. They had so many excuses, but everybody could watch that video and go, wait a minute. All right, we all agree, right? We all see this, right? We all agree.
And you hit him in the back too?
You shouldn't be hitting this guy with a bat. All right, everybody good? We good? We're going to give it to the jury? What the?
Right. Most of the blows missed. That's what they said. Most of the blows missed. That's where he got his head injury. The missing blows got it.
Woo.
Yep. Like I said, everybody remembers where they were on verdict day because that's when the riots broke out. That's when Reginald Denny was dragged out of his truck.
Oh man.
And think about that.
Yep. And beat.
Reginald Denny,
Mm-hmm.
we know that name.
Yep.
Why do we know Reginald Denny?
Because he was the one white guy in the wrong place during riots after verdict day, on verdict day. He was drug out of his truck, and oh my God, he was beat. So
how many black people were beat on that day?
That's what I was. There you go.
We know Reginald Denny as a group of a
yeah.
certain age. We know Reginald Denny. We know that name. We can see them getting pulled out of the truck, getting hit. How come there's no other names we know other than Reginald Denny and Rodney King?
Well, you know,
LAPD been putting in work ever since. They've been putting in work. I saw LAPD tackle a homeless person that was standing still, and it was a lady, and he just breaking his hand on him.
Y'all need to go into the whole Rampart, what Rampart was doing.
Rampart
was an elite LA gang task force inside of LAPD.
Oh, wow.
And they were some of the dirtiest cops. Training day, that's what those guys were. They were an elite group inside of LAPD, and their job was to go after, the super criminals, right?
Super thugs.
They turned into the most, and look it up, Rampart investigation, the most corrupt, because they had, dude, what do they say about absolute power?
Yeah.
Corrupts absolutely.
Power. Yep.
And these guys had absolute power, and they were inside of the LAPD, but they were not governed by LAPD. They were stealing drugs, replacing them with baking powder, selling them on the streets.
They were replacing them because they didn't have to. Nobody's going to bring a charge against them.
Well, no, what they would say was, we replace it. Nobody's going to test these drugs. This guy's going to take a plate. They were committing murders. They had drop guns.
What?
They committed bank robberies.
Drop guns. When I shot him because he pulled a gun on me.
Oh, okay. Then they
drop gun. Yeah.
And we're like,
like how Dave Chappelle said, sprinkle a little crack on him.
Sprinkle a little crack
That's
on
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Rampart, and that's during that time. And it was kind of because it's the society's a rubber band. It comes back and then it'll pop, it stretches, then it comes back. So in response to what happened in the early 90s, LAPD created the super task force, Rampart, and it's one of the biggest police scandals in the history of modern policing.
So
except for the, I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I feel like I keep stepping on your words. I want you to go.
Go ahead. I'm gonna say.
I was gonna say, talking about police scandals, though, you have your ghost skins, your white supremacists that are not tattooing themselves up and just infiltrating all your police departments and military branches, and probably elected offices as well. I mean, come on, are we just gonna say it stops there? And then you also have your not your executioners. What is it? What's the name of that police gang? They have the matching tattoos with the skull. Regulators. Yeah.
What's odd to me is that's 4 decades ago that you're talking about, Carter. 4 decades, okay?
Tupac.
No, 4
Tupac
decades ago.
We're
4 decades ago that we are talking about this type of police brutality. The revolution was not televised. The revolution now is televised, and you would think that it would make a difference. You would think that now that people see it happening over and over and over again, everybody who encounters the police, their phone is on. We are televising all of this. You would think that it would make a difference. How many police officers and charges and convictions have we gotten now?
I'm willing to bet.
But what I will say, and I'll put it in here briefly, there has been, they were protesting in Aurora. I mean, you grew up here. I've been here damn near 16 years in Denver, Aurora. There was a protest on that mind-boggling on the city capitol building. Like that's in Aurora. That's
right,
huge.
in Aurora. Right.
I mean, that's huge. And one thing I want y'all to know that, and Marcus can back me up if he's out there, there was a brand new legislation that just passed. One of the funny things about police officers, like, despite your lack of credibility, if you say, hey, I was a police officer in Denver, well, you can go out to, Superior and get a job. You can go out to Grand Junction to get a job, right? Because while we as a defense bar might know who you are, but the police are, that thin blue line is real. You can go anywhere and get another job. And the nonsense you did in Aurora does not follow you. They just took a new bill just passed.
Yes.
In which, no, you're incredible as a witness in Aurora. That goes with you. You're incredible. You can't be trusted as a witness in Denver. Well, I'm going down to Pueblo.
Right.
Well, guess what? That's coming with you.
You know what? We gotta keep on having more conservatives on the show. You gotta call up your boy Mike. We gotta have more conservatives on here because I'm flashing back to people's outrage at the stop snitching policy in the Black community. Right? Snitches get stitches. We ain't telling. I ain't telling because I can't trust the police. They may lock me up for no reason to. Even though we need our community to be safe, the police are dangerous to us, and the criminals in our community are dangerous.
Right.
So we don't know exactly what to do. So I'm staying out of it. I don't want no reprisal. I don't want to be, quote unquote, under your protection. And we all know you guys are killing us too, type of stuff. But that exact same policy is going on inside of all of our police departments. With
Dude, it ain't even. Don't be afraid of the bad cops. It's the good ones, because the good ones are protecting the bad ones.
Yeah.
And
they're great examples. And they say, you know what, man, he may have called that black person a porch monkey, but you shouldn't fire him over it. I'm sure he'll be objective when he's taking that man's life in his hands, right?
It's like when one of your friends is like, well, I'm not racist. Yeah, but you hang out with that guy who I know is calling me something behind my back.
Right.
You're like, so you're validating him. So you.
Yeah, I'm not racist, but all my friends, they use the hard R. Just saying.
And you validate them using the hard R.
Right.
And we got to talk about these on-ramps into white supremacy and racism also. So, like Jordan Peterson comes to mind. He's the professor of psychology who started talking about a philosophy. He wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life. And like the first one was like clean your room, and one of them is like stand up straight. And then, if you were to read some of the breakdowns, so I'm not going to read his book or buy his book, but I read some breakdowns of some of the flaws in his thinking. He sneaks in there later on that women have an energy of chaos and men have an energy of order, type of stuff.
Right.
Just all these BS thought processes start sneaking their way in. And he developed quite a following because he said a few true things. And I think that kind of happens with our law enforcement apparatus. We see our good cops. We see, and they run cover. And you don't look below the surface. That guy that doesn't say the hard R around you, but he does when he's around old Johnny, thin blue line, you're never going to hear about it. But the one that says the hard R has the gun pointed at your 17-year-old when he got pulled over for speeding, right? He didn't hit the left signal light, and there was a gun in his face. That's Mr. Hard R who got the cover from the good cop that everybody knows. Everybody knows old Jacob. Jacob ain't do nothing to nobody. That's what's so dangerous about Jacob.
But the problem is that within the police community, those ones that say the hard R are the bullies, and they bullied all the good cops into shutting up and letting them perform their ugly deeds without being reported. And if they are reported, then there's reprisal against them. So they taught them to be quiet and to not buck up against the blue line. Blue lives matter. You know what I mean? So they're the bullies. However, and I said this when who do we have on the show? Weissman. We had Weissman on the show. And my point is when in order to weed out these bad seeds, we've tried having all of the accountability community task force, and we have these different
we still have it.
I know, and you guys aren't doing. What are they doing? Please share with us.
I'm on it. Hold on, we're doing. Oh crap! So you want to update us on what we're doing?
Yes.
So
please
what
do.
the purpose of and so look, a lot of us on the task force did not know what our official mission was.
Okay.
We knew that we were there in response to the organizational issues that were in place that caused the whole thing around Elijah McClain, that entire tragedy that happened, and there was so much cover and layers of bureaucracy between us and real justice. Okay, so we're thinking we're going to put together, we're going to be the group that like says, no, when this happens or this happens, we want to see this response and that response. No, what we're doing is we're laying the groundwork to formulate the institution that will do that. So one of the things that I brought to the table, because, okay, so let me not go too far without explaining where I'm at. One of our biggest issues has been when we think about the brass tacks, if we are in a trilateral relationship with the city manager and the police department, the chief of the police, then we're outranked instantaneously. We say something's bad, and they're like, "Hey, look, we'll do," or the civil service, maybe not the city manager, the civil service people. So we're basically useless. It's a huge waste of time. So what I've suggested is kind of a little hand-me-down from the school district. We have a multi-tiered support network, multi-tiered support system for our students. If you're really, really failing, we bring you the most supports. If you're doing pretty good, you get less supports. The best kids get the least, right? So we want to do that when it comes to these incidences. So have a multi-tiered reporting mechanism. So if it's really bad, we may be talking to the Attorney General, not dealing with Vanessa Wilson, the police chief.
I think,
you know.
Okay.
Just talking about that. So that's one of the things that I've brought up and that we've actually been kicking around, and also that we're not the institution itself. We could be the institution if we decide to stay on or ask to be on the actual institution, but we want to formulate the institution that's going to do it. And I believe it's like police oversight agency or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the name of it is. There's some acronym, but that institution is being formulated by us, which will receive staffing, will receive budget, will receive some language in the city charter that there's a certain amount of authority giving to that institution in particular. That's what the task force is doing. We're trying to create that institution to have that oversight and report to the correct mechanisms depending on the severity of the incident.
Okay, here's my issue. I hear what you're saying, and I applaud you for it. I think everybody who works on the task force, thank you. I am not trying to demean what you do. I am not trying to say that you're not doing, I'm not, please understand me when I say, you guys are tied up in red tape. You have too much bureaucracy and red tape telling you what you can and what you cannot do. So then, therefore, you do nothing. And so how long have you been on this task force? How long has this been in place?
Since March.
March. And you've accomplished the fact that another task force needs to be enacted to do more tasks.
Not just creating another task force, to add to add a reporting agency that either starts at the district attorney or the police chief level, the district attorney level, or the attorney general level.
Okay.
I mean, it's a direct liaison to higher levels of law enforcement.
Everybody has agreed that you got to do another level. What I proposed to Mike Weissman when he was on the show. I talked about insurance. Now, I know that we have bills out there that we have introduced, and we've gotten some major changes passed law-wise. I love it. But there's nothing that says that that's all that needs to be. There's nothing that says that we just have a task force. Now that's it. We can't do anything else. So my point is, here's something that's real independent. Right now, police officers, you can't just fire them because they have their union and they have to go through steps in order to make sure that they have been treated fairly. There's a way to create a complete independent task force that will let you know who your bad apples are. I, as a registered nurse, have to have insurance, E&O insurance to cover me. As a realtor, I have to pay for my own insurance. I have to have coverage for $500,000 up to $1 million. My husband has to have the same coverage. Every doctor who's responsible for saving lives has to pay for their own insurance out of their own pockets. That's what I'm saying, is if they start having to cover themselves with their own liability insurance, out of their own pocket. This comes out of your check. It's a portion that comes out of your check. You have to be covered now. One incident of reporting where they have to pay something for this officer, they may pay it. The second time, the insurance company is going to be like, hey, what are we doing? The third time, they're probably going to say, we can't cover you anymore. You are no longer insurable. So you can't, exactly. Now, when he has to go back to the county and say to the county, I can't get insurance anywhere, you know who your bad apple is. You've had way too many incidents reported against you, and we've had to pay out insurance, these monies to these people who have won these cases because we were able to prove that you were a bad, you're not who we're looking for for this police force.
They have that type of oversight, but it's more of a global than a local.
No, but their insurance companies are paid for through the county.
Right,
so check it out.
The police department pays for the insurance, and then they just kind of swallow the bad apples. A better idea is what you're saying is
when it comes out of their pocket, and the complete independent insurance company is the one. Like right now, and my husband is and here's the weird thing: my husband is we have insurance together through USAA. My husband drives the speed limit everywhere he goes. I don't know how he gets a ticket because he's the slowest driver. He drives me nuts. I'm always like, where you go? And I'm the hothead. I have the lead foot. They called me because he's gotten 2 tickets and called me and said, you might want to drop him from your insurance.
Yeah.
So when these people are uninsurable, and this is an independent agency. They are not looking at my husband like he's done something wrong. They're not looking at him like they know him or, let's give him this is a completely independent agency who's just looking at the facts.
He's a commodity.
We've had three reports against you. We paid out this much money in this amount of time. We no longer want you are a liability. Yep. It'll teach them to act right. It'll show them who their bad actors are, and it will weed them out.
So check it out. So here's another thing, Stefania, is elections have consequences. I didn't just get on the task force. I also worked hard on Amy Patton's campaign.
Right.
I was really hoping that this task force would be creating this institution that would be dealing directly with Amy Patton's office of district attorney. Now, hopefully, we'll be able to work directly with John Kellner's office of district attorney.
Have you contacted them? Has the task force contacted the new district attorney of the 18th?
That's not my job, and that's a question I'll have to ask in the next meeting. I have not, on behalf of the task force, because I'm not a representative of the task force. That it is the city of Aurora. So I will get in touch with Claudine McDonald, who I believe is the director of human affairs or neighborhood. I don't know, some sort of neighborhood services or human services. But what I'm talking about, what I'm speaking to, Stefania, is layers.
Right.
We want layers. So I'm looking at this story that dropped on December the 11th, 2020 on Colorado Public Radio, CPR.org. Lying officers were the first ones to lose their police certifications under the new Colorado law.
That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. If we're doing this at every different level, I agree. I think your insurance idea should be out there. I think they should be losing their certifications, or maybe they should be licensed, or whatever you want to do, and make it where no, you screw up here in Aurora, you can't be a police officer anywhere.
Right.
And go ahead.
No, finish.
I was going to say, having spoken to a few good cops, right? They are held. Yeah, they're out there.
They are. There are.
And they are worried about losing their job if they mess up. I think, of course, there's going to be a little bit of the good old boys network still going on, but hiring a diverse force is going to be another crack in the armor of that thin blue line. We need more diversity, so when people are pulling the same BS, and it hasn't been reported yet, it hasn't reached IA yet, it hasn't reached the Sentinel yet, it hasn't hit, their license hasn't been taken yet. We need some diverse people that aren't going to be afraid of any sort of reprisal. Right. Because, hey, this is my community. That's my demographic. That's my family.
You also have to remember, this is one of the things we were talking about with the another group Marcus and I are on. One of the things is it's the occupier versus the occupied. If more of the police officers lived in the community that they were policing, there wouldn't be that disconnect, as opposed to I go into this, and if enough people call it a war, you'll start acting like it's a war. So enough of these police officers, instead of going into these neighborhoods, policing and then going home and that being something completely separate. You know, you need police officers, especially the younger ones, They should be living in the places they're policing. It'll make a difference because you'll know Stefania. Oh,
Yeah.
she works nights. Hey, Stefania, I see. Yeah, she works nights. I know Kevin's on. I know Kevin.
Right.
I see Carter. So there would be that community, and it wouldn't be you coming into police. It would be you living in a community.
Right.
But instead, you've got individuals who, you know, live out in a different county, and they come here to
Driving
police,
in from Broomfield, pointing
They come
guns
here
at
to
young
police.
Aurora teenagers.
and they're just like,
No goodness.
going into
No,
the
I
jungle
agree.
or some
Gotta put them
nonsense.
down.
Right. There's levels to it. But nobody said that we have to just sit on one level and implement one idea, the task force, and that's it. I just think that all the things that we've talked about need to be addressed and implemented. And perhaps we can get to a state where we respect our police officers again. You know, that's a respectable job. It should be. It absolutely should be, but they turned it around and they changed it to where they don't pull the respect because they haven't given any.
Speaking about respectable, let me give another point to Stefania. I think you need to call into our next community task force meeting and drop some of your knowledge on the group as well. I will get you the details, and I mean I should know it on top of my head, shouldn't I? Right? I'll look it up and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But I really think, you know, your suggestions are true. You're correct. You're not wrong at all. And we need to fold this into it. That's the thing. We are creating it right now. We're just the people that are tasked with creating this entity.
Okay.
So everything you're saying, yeah, I think we should fold that into. It's not either or. I think it's yes and.
I think, you know, the police community has made it to the point where a lot of people are afraid of them. They're not in a respectable job. They're in a feared position. And if they want to change that, then they need to weed out these bad apples. And a lot of these things that we've talked about can be implemented so that they can get back to a position of trust.
Yeah.
Who are you going to say,
trust
Carter? I
them.
saw you say.
I think of policemen as you think of firemen.
I'm sorry, what?
I think of policemen the way you think of firemen. If my house is burning down, I'm going to call the fire department.
Right.
Right. If there is an emergency, if my house has been breaking, if something's going on, I'm going to call the police department. So they, you know.
But if someone's having a mental health breakdown, I'm not going to call a fireman.
No.
No. I'm not even on that level. If somebody's having a mental health breakdown, why are you calling the police? You need to be calling a social worker.
Here's the thing, we didn't call the police.
You need to be calling somebody who knows what they're doing.
Here's the thing, and so here's another level to it. We didn't call the police. We called 911. They routed the phone call to the wrong person. They need proper training. They need to know that I have a niece who's special needs, and when she's mad, she is strong as a bull.
Yep.
But we as a society says straight up, okay, you call 911. My niece is out of control. Okay, who are we going to send? The police. We're going to send a dude to your house with a gun. And his job is to get her under control. That in and of itself.
Right.
Like I don't even need to know anything else to know that situation is going to end badly.
Badly, right.
Yeah.
And we need to be better than that. We need to be smarter than that and be like, hold on. There's a way we can send someone to Sister Gallegos' house for her niece that we know it's not going to end where something's gonna, you know what? How do we get her out of the house?
Right.
Exactly. But that is another level. And we should be able to call that 911. They should know whether to send the fire department or whether to send the police or whether to dispatch somebody who has mental health training.
Period.
That's a 911 call.
Period.
Yeah.
Someone that's not bristling with all the wrong tools.
Exactly.
Pepper spray, batons, and guns and handcuffs and
And
whatnot.
mad because his wife and him got into a fight last night.
Yeah, or a drunk black man overpowered him the other day. But so I'm flashing back to the cartoons I used to watch growing up, where all this imagery from the 50s and 60s tropes and whatnot, and the stereotypes that were built into it. Because you watch Tom and Jerry and the black maid, you just see her feet and she would talk, whatever. But whenever someone was losing their mind, the police never showed up and shot them. It was always
Right.
the people came in the white van, the big burly guys
Yes,
wearing the
you're
all
right.
white, and they put a straight jacket on them so they can't even hurt themselves.
You're right.
Never
That
thought
was
of that.
not a
Where are they?
stereotype back then. I don't know what's
You're
changed.
right. I mean, you're right.
That's a good analogy. You're very.
So
You're
we know
absolutely- you hit that
better.
one right
It's
on.
not we need to know better. We know better. We
Right.
already knew better. We're just doing it wrong all of a sudden. I think
And all of a sudden,
people-
And
Yeah.
there's
We
a
made
lot of
it very-
times police are
ahead.
put in positions that they are neither qualified nor equipped to deal with.
yeah,
A police
Yeah.
officer show you and your wife get into a fight, or even a verbal altercation. Somebody calls the police. Their job is to show up with a gun.
take somebody away.
I mean, seriously, their job is to show up with a gun and to calm the situation. You know what, Sister Gallegos, you're out of control. Let's go.
Right.
You know what, Brother Kevin, you're out of control. Let's go. This is the intervention that we have trained not only the police officers, but ourselves, our society. Like, something goes bad, we need to call the cops. Something that, some type of situation, a mental health problem, we need to call the cops.
right.
A verbal disagreement, need to call the cops. I didn't get my.
That can't be the go-to button every time anymore. And
I
like
didn't
I
get
said, that's a matter of training for 911. They got us to the point where I remember before we had 911, we had a whole bunch of different numbers that we had to remember. Who do we call? Who do we call for this? Who do we call for that? And 911 was set up so that they were the funnel, so that we could call one number to make it easy to get the right people dispatched at the right time.
Hold on, let me call. You know what? Let me contact Aurora Mental Health. Hold on, ma'am.
Right. Let's send them
But
out.
that was back in
And
the days when we still remembered phone numbers.
But we still got 911. I got about 10 in my head. 911 being one of it. After that, if you give me your phone number in the last 20 years, I do not know it.
Right. There's a button for that. So there's an app.
Look, speaking of something being helpless, I'm looking at this other article on CPR.org. Almost 300,000 Coloradans will lose unemployment benefits after Christmas, even if a new federal stimulus passes.
There's
Yeah.
some stuff coming that we
Merry
just,
Christmas, America.
Yeah,
we
right.
there's some things coming. We just are pretending like it's like we see the mushroom cloud. we see it.
How do we support a government that has allowed this to happen? Like, I don't understand how somebody can be so greedy to think that I've given you $1,200 and you want another 600 and we've been going through this for almost 9 months now. How dare you think that you should get another $600, $1,800 for a year, 1 year's out of work?
Promises made, promises kept. He promised that he was going to stop giving money to all these moochers that wouldn't get off their butt and go to work. He said, I'm going to stop giving all these vaccines to people because we need to get back onto the vaccine talk because Trump wanted all of us to catch COVID.
Yeah,
And he
Yeah,
wanted all of us to have
mentality.
COVID. Right?
hyperbole.
He wanted herd mentality. He wanted everyone to think like a herd
That's what
and
he
catch
said.
COVID. And he needed both.
Everybody
He
come
needed
out to
herd
these
immunity and
rallies,
mentality.
don't wear masks.
Yep.
And now that people are dying and we're in a full-blown 300 and where are we? 350,000 lives
Is it up there?
lost.
Is it up there?
Yes,
Is
up
it-
there.
is it that
Too
high?
much.
Now he wants to take, here's my thing. If you're not going to take care of us with helping out after everything closed, restaurants, gyms, lots of businesses have closed because of this and people are not able to pay their rents, they're not able to pay their mortgages. Why aren't you at least telling the mortgage companies stand down? Like for the next, until the pandemic is over, whatever payments
Stand
are
down.
missed, stand down. Whatever payments, stand by and stand down. I'm not gonna go there. But here's my thing. You didn't have to tell them that they can't collect their money. I get it. You tried to say that evictions can't happen. Now they're back. They're happening again. What you should do is at least say, in order, if they miss a month of rent or mortgage, tack that on the back. You're not going to miss getting your money. You're not going to ask you to forgive it. You're actually tacking that on the back, and then you can actually collect your interest longer. You stand to gain money from that. He won't even tell the mortgage companies to stop it. We can't.
Oh,
even
you're asking for all this socialism and communism, Stefania?
It's
What are you
not-
doing?
It's not
Commie?
social communism. It's
That's-
intelligence.
Right,
No,
intelligence.
listen.
So we
Yeah.
decided to call it socialism and make that a bad word.
Bring it
Right,
down.
exactly.
It's capitalism. If I kick you out and you have no job, I can't make my money.
Okay, so speaking of socialism versus capitalism, they wanted all socialism when it was big banks and large institutions that were going under.
Oh,
They were too large to fail. We can't let Goldman Sachs go down. We have to inject billions of dollars directly into their pockets and set a record for the amount of private jets bought.
If you are Republicans only believe in socialism for the rich.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: it's a boon for the middle class, also for the small business owner. They keep touting these small mom and pop shops, right? Mom and pop shops are not big stores or not big box stores. So when you inject money directly into the working class, they go directly to the mom and pops. They do not have access to these large box stores as much.
One of the simplest thoughts or ideas in political science is that if you give the lower class or poor people money, they will inject it into the economy. That's the easiest way to inject money into an economy. If you give it to rich people, they will not.
Well, how many poor people? How many poor people? How many working class people? How many people making minimum wage or in and out of employment because of certain background issues? How many people like that have a 401k to dump it into? Have a offshore account to hide it in to avoid taxes, or are going to use capital gains tax loopholes and whatnot, and sit on this money and just let it grow and never pay on it? None of them. 99% of these people are living hand to mouth. Every single check they get goes straight into the store.
That is
go straight into the car note. Go straight into the grocery. Go straight into the gas tank.
Right.
The worst thing they'll do is buy a PlayStation 5.
If you want to get money into the economy, you give it to people at the poverty line, lower middle class.
Right.
Period.
Those are the legs that this economy stands on. Those are the legs that they use, and that position deserves to be coddled and lifted up and held. And
the middle class is the lifeblood of our economy. It is where the American dream is built. It is where all of these dreams come to fruition. You make it up the economic class by starting out low and working your way in there, and starting with entrepreneurship. You start your little shop. And if the government were to inject money directly into the working class, you're going to keep that middle class alive. That's exactly where it is. Look, we're right at about an hour. I want to hear some dope black thoughts from everybody. I haven't had a dope black thought in a while because I ain't been on the show. But I'm trying to hear something dope so we can close out.
Okay, Carter.
Pass. You threw me a curveball. I thought I've been throwing heaters all night. Now you all of a sudden put me on the spot.
Give me something to close out on, Carter.
Here's what I'll say. We're listening to our government talk about all the things that have happened in the last 4 years. And the one thing that I said when President Trump was elected is he's a loophole exploiter. He will show us the chink in our armor. He has shown us all the loopholes that we have in our Constitution. If our Congress and our Senate don't have their needle and threads out and are not ready to sew up all these loopholes when Biden is inaugurated, God help us. Because there's just somebody else out there right behind him who's willing to come back in, has learned from what he's done, and will take advantage of those loopholes again. They need to be sewing up all these loopholes, changing some laws, and making sure that sitting presidents can be indicted when they are absolutely wrong.
Yep.
What I'll say is, real quick, Trump is, if you think of him as a mascot, he is a true representative of a part of our population that is not going to listen to intelligence, science, or facts. They have a channel that literally, you watch Fox News every once in a while, you love it. They have a channel that is trading in fantasy, and they vote. And what we needed to do, and we knock on wood, there's still 8 million more people voted for Biden than Trump. But we got to remember, we have to remember going forward, man, if you don't vote for your ideas, somebody else will.
Yeah.
And we've been sitting at home, for these last 4 years getting mad. Don't go to sleep, guys. Don't go to sleep. It's not over. We got to keep pushing that rock up that mountain. Sisyphus.
And yeah, say it. And look, so my thought will just piggyback on yours, saying that we can't sleep. We have to continue to hold Joe Biden accountable.
Yes.
I heard the leaked audio of him getting a little brolic with some civil rights leaders, right? Watch out, Prez. Like, you do work for us, and Black people made you the president. You would not have won if it wasn't for us. And also, all these Black Lives Matter, defund the police, super lefty progressives, all these people that you're denouncing are the ones that had these protests and rallies where they registered hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of voters that
Yeah.
voted for
Yes.
you. They
Yeah.
did not vote for Donald Trump. They voted for you. So you
Yeah.
actually do owe us something. Look,
Yeah.
I'm not saying abolish the police. I'm saying completely reform and reconstitute the police. It may
Right.
sound like what some of the defund the police people are talking about, but I don't mean just defund. What I mean is don't send a cop to a person having a mental health breakdown.
Right.
That's all I'm talking about. But just because I think that doesn't mean that you can just disregard me as a voter, as a constituent. You still
Right.
work for us, and we're the ones that made you. We made you.
And be smart. Don't let them take that word defund the police and turn it around into something that's nasty. He knows what we meant by when we said defund the police. I mean,
They knew.
reallocate funds to the appropriate places so that police officers can be held accountable.
We know
So,
what it means. We know what it means.
right? Don't
But
act
they're, and this is politics. They're gonna say we know what it means, and we're fine with. Hey, we want some allocation for some type of mental health. We want to. Hey, everything should not end up with somebody showing up with a gun.
But he's in his
Yep.
ear. They're in his ear saying defund the police is a bad term. No, it's not. Don't take that.
That was my dope Black thought.
Yes,
Look,
love
I
it.
appreciate all of y'all. Thanks, Marcus, for ending this right on time, sir.
Good
Bye,
time.
everybody.